welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, so you've handed us this stack of sources, all covering, well, a pretty huge event, WWE Wrestlepalooza.
Massive is right.
And our job today, really, is to sift through all the noise, the spectacle, figure out the key moments, maybe some of those surprising controversies.
Oh, there were definitely controversies.
And also the sort of business shifts happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, and it's interesting context because one of the sources we looked at just flat out called it the worst event this year. Unbelievable.
Wow, okay, so right off the bat, strong reactions. High stakes then.
Exactly. That kind of immediate, intense feedback, whether it's praise or condemnation, that's kind of what this whole machine runs on, you know? It tells you how invested people were.
Totally. It feels like this was engineered for maximum reaction.
Yeah.
And the biggest piece of context, we should probably say this up front, is the business side. All our sources point to this being the very first premium live event, the first PLE, since the company locked in that huge new partnership with ESPN.
That's the game changer, isn't it? It really elevates the whole thing. You're not just talking wrestling anymore. It's mainstream sports broadcasting.
And Paul Levesque, Triple H, he really hammered that point home, didn't he? Calling the ESPN deal a major milestone.
Absolutely. And you could see that influence immediately, especially in how they set up the pre-show. That 2-hour lead-in felt different.
Okay, let's get into that then, the pre-show and the celebrity stuff, because that feels very ESPN.
Right, very much so. I mean, you had your standard expert panel outside the arena, Michael Cole, Wade Barrett, Big E, familiar voices.
Right, the wrestling regulars.
But then they literally rolled out the red carpet, metaphorically speaking, for an NBA superstar.
Tyrese Halliburton. Yeah, that was a moment. He got his own entrance onto the stage.
His own entrance. He wasn't just like a face in the crowd. They put him right there at the desk with the experts. He even took over the Miz's spot for a bit.
That's a big signal, isn't it? Telling the wider sports world, hey, this is where the A-listers are now. It's cross-platform entertainment.
Exactly. Blurring those lines, making it feel like a bigger cultural moment, not just a wrestling show.
And speaking of blurring lines, they also kind of leaned into the company's own complicated past during the broadcast.
You mean the intro package with the Vince McMahon footage?
Yeah. Showing some historical clips, including a young Vince McMahon. Our sources said that GAC got, well, mixed reactions in the arena.
Which is fascinating, right? They're pushing towards this polished corporate future with ESPN, but they can't entirely escape, or maybe don't want to entirely escape, the baggage of the past. It's a balancing act.
Definitely navigating some tricky history there.
Yeah.
And the pre-show buzz wasn't just the panel, right? They
Yeah.
had other people involved.
Oh, yeah. They had Kathy Kelly, Jackie Redmond, Peter Rosenberg doing their thing. And they used Megan Morant and Sam Roberts out in the crowd, capturing fan reactions, right? Trying to build that big event energy.
And then mid-show, another big mainstream sports connection dropped in.
Pat McAfee. Yeah, the former Colts kicker, now huge sports media guy. He just shows up and joins the commentary team.
And the crowd reaction.
Oh, they went nuts. Frenetic is the word one source used. It felt like a homecoming for him. But his presence just doubled down on that idea of blending sports analysis with wrestling spectacle.
Made the whole thing feel like this high-energy variety show almost.
Yeah, exactly. But okay, the real test of, like, the show's identity started when the matches began.
Right, the bell rings.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that opener, John Cena versus Brock Lesnar.
Talk about emotional whiplash. Cena makes his entrance with, what, like 30 kids? All dressed as mini John Cena's?
Maximum wholesome energy. Pure nostalgia.
And you contrast that immediately with Brock Lesnar, presented by Paul Heyman. Just pure, unadulterated menace. The beast incarnate.
And the match reflected that. Total dominance by Lesnar, really. 6 F5s needed to put Cena away.
And under 9 minutes, too. Which tells you how much they wanted to protect Cena's legacy, but also how utterly dominant they needed Lesnar to look. He survived 3 double A's earlier, but Lesnar just kept coming.
But the win wasn't the end of it, was it? That's the part that really stood out.
You know, that's the controversial bit. Lesnar wins decisively. Then he gets back in the ring, hits the referee with an F5.
It's gratuitous at that point.
And then hits Cena with another F5. And one source specifically mentioned this caused some kids in the arena to actually start crying.
Wow. Okay. That's intense. It's theater, sure, but pushing it to the point of upsetting kids. What?
Well, you could argue it serves a purpose, right? Maybe it's about establishing the brutality, proving to ESPN, proving to everyone that this is raw, unpredictable, the final form of entertainment, like Triple H said. Maybe nothing's off limits if it gets a huge reaction.
Maximum emotional impact, even if it's negative for some. A deliberate choice.
Seems like it. And if that opener was about peak brutality, the next match, the tag match, that introduced something else. Rule anarchy, sanctioned by the referee himself.
This was the Usos against the Vision, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. And the hook was L.A. Knight as the special guest referee promising looser rules.
Looser was putting it mildly. It became pretty clear pretty fast what that meant.
How so?
Okay, so early on, Bronson Reed tries to use a chair. Knight steps in, stops him. Looks like he's enforcing things, right?
Standard referee stuff, yeah.
But then, moments later, Jimmy Uso gets the chair. And this time, Knight just pointedly, deliberately looks away. He chose not to see it.
So he didn't just loosen the rules, he actively enabled breaking them. Selectively.
Exactly. And that one act just completely broke the match's structure. Once he did that, the message was clear. Anything goes.
And did it escalate from there?
Oh, yeah. The chair got used again and again. Then a table came out. Both Usos ended up going through it thanks to a spear from Breaker. Tay Uso even got busted open, bleeding from his head by the end.
So the authority figure basically gave the green light for extreme violence.
Pretty much. Which, again, makes you ask, in this new ESPN era, if the normal rules don't really apply, how far do you have to push the violence, the chaos, to keep the audience hooked, to make them feel like the stakes are real?
That's a heavy question. Let's shift gears slightly. There was a major title change, too, in the women's division?
Right. The third match for the vacant WWE Women's World Championship. Stephanie Walker versus Io Sky.
And this was a serious contest, right? Not just chaos.
Definitely. Walker got the win via pinfall after hitting the Sky Twister press. And importantly, this match went almost 20 minutes.
Okay, so nearly double the time of the Cena-Lesnar opener.
Exactly. On a night filled with quick, violent bursts and rule-breaking, giving a major women's title match that much time, that suggests, a certain level of importance and respect for that division under this leadership.
Good point. And they showed mutual respect after the match, too, apparently.
They did. Plus, we saw the other women's champ, Tiffany Stratton, watching ringside, setting up future storylines showing the division is active and layered.
Okay, so some traditional wrestling structure there. But then we got the mixed tag match.
Yes. Match 4. CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, nearly 30 minutes long. And this basically threw the entire rule book out the window.
Dissolved it, is how one source put it.
Pretty much. I mean, right away, you had Rollins and Lynch with these intense kisses, playing up the relationship drama. And almost immediately, the women were illegally attacking the men when the ref wasn't looking, and vice versa.
Standard bending of the rules, maybe?
It started that way, but then it went further. The sources are clear. The old Deflekterregelung, the gender regulation, basically the rules stopping men and women from directly fighting each other in these matches. It was just gone, practically dissolved.
So men were allowed to attack women, women attack men. Seriously.
Yes. We saw spots like Becky Lynch putting CM Punk in the sharpshooter submission hold, Punk putting Lynch in the same hold later on. It was unprecedented territory for a major match like this.
That is boundary pushing, especially for a mainstream broadcast. Just total anarchy by design.
Absolutely. Designed to shock, designed to feel dangerous and unpredictable. And the finish itself was pure chaos, too. One of the commentary tables collapsed after Lynch threw AJ Lee into Punk and Rollins, who were fighting near it.
And the match ended after that.
Yeah. Lee eventually got the submission win over Lynch with the Black Widow hold amidst all that wreckage. It wasn't just about who won. It was about the spectacle, the structural breakdown of norms.
If you take away the rules, the action has to be bigger, wilder, to compensate, right? To keep that sense of danger.
That seems to be the philosophy, yeah.
Okay, before the main event title match, there was another big segment. Less about in-ring action, more about legacy.
Right. The Undertaker segment. He rides out on his motorcycle, big applause. And Stephanie McMahon is right there in the front row, also getting cheers.
Setting up something significant.
Yeah, and they played with the reality of it, too. Undertaker kind of joked that he felt like Stephanie had been following him around, hanging out with him for days.
Breaking that fourth wall again.
Exactly. To set up this big announcement, Undertaker gets the honor of naming Stephanie McMahon as the very first inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2026.
Wow. Huge corporate moment, basically. Cementing her legacy, the family legacy within the company's history.
And right there on this massive show, sealed with an embrace, it's spectacle, but it's also reinforcing the internal power structure, especially in this new era.
Interesting blend of performance and, well, corporate messaging.
Very much so.
And finally, that brought us to the main event, WWE Championship on the line.
Cody Rhodes defending against Drew McIntyre. Cody retained. Match went just under 17 minutes.
Which, it's worth noting, is significantly shorter than that chaotic mixed tag match we just talked about.
Good catch. Yeah, that tells you something about where the night's priorities might have been in terms of creating memorable, boundary-pushing moments versus a traditional main event structure.
And the finish itself, did it tie into any themes?
Kind of subtly, yeah. The climax involved McIntyre setting up for his big finisher, the Claymore kick, aiming near Cody's head by the commentator table. Very dangerous spot. The referee actually intervened, tried to prevent McIntyre from doing it right there, and that slight hesitation, that distraction caused by the ref's intervention?
Let Cody capitalize.
Exactly. Rhodes used that moment to dodge the kick and hit his own finisher, the Crossroads, for the win. So even a main event finish involved a degree of interference, distraction, maybe questioning the absolute authority.
And the show ended with Cody Rhodes celebrating championship held high.
That was the final image. Victorious Cody.
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. We saw the launch of this big ESPN partnership shaping the broadcast.
Definitely felt more mainstream, sports-oriented in presentation.
We saw lines blurring everywhere, NBA stars on the panel, sports commentators joining in, referees deliberately ignoring rules.
Or actively enabling chaos.
And this really intense focus on emotional impact, sometimes through pretty brutal or controversial means like the Lesnar aftermath or dissolving gender rules in the tag match.
It felt like spectacle layered on top of spectacle, maybe driven by that need to make a huge splash in this new corporate era.
So going back to what Triple H apparently said, framing this as the final form of entertainment, what does this event really tell us about how these huge organizations create spectacle today?
Well, I think it shows that the modern recipe involves a few key ingredients, right? You need that integration of mainstream figures to broaden appeal. You need a willingness to bend or even break traditional rules to generate buzz and perceived danger.
Maximize the danger, maximize the reaction.
Exactly. And you need to drive those really strong emotional responses, even if the methods push boundaries or court controversy. It's about being unforgettable, maybe more than being universally liked.
So thinking about that deliberate controversy, the rules basically going out the window at times, bringing in huge names from other sports.
Yeah.
It leaves us with a pretty provocative thought, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How far do companies like this actually need to push things? The emotional intensity, the rule breaking.
Yeah.
How far does it have to go to keep feeling like that final form of entertainment they're aiming for? Is there actually a limit?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Something for all of you to think about until our next deep dive.